Mary Todd, but there's a part of Holes that I love the best, and that's when he first gets to the prison camp for the children, and a weird phrase to say, but prison camp for the children, and
I think we call them plantations.
Oh, even better, right? Even better. Wait,
you can get married there.
Yeah, when I was a recruiter, there was this girl who worked at one of the schools that I had, and she was her family were Mexican immigrants, and during the off year of school, they would go work on the farms here in Indiana. They plant soybeans one year and then corn the next year. And I was driving her from like school to the recruiting station or something. And she was talking about how, school ends next month and we're going to go work on the plantation. I said, the what? And she said, the plantation. I was like, they still call them places. Like, yeah, they still call. I was like, you think they would have gotten away from that word? But nope. It's technically the correct word, but you would have figured that in the year of our Lord, 2021, they'd be like, nah, we're not going to call these plantations anymore. But yeah, that's pretty fucking wild.
It is. I mean, it's so dystopian, Orwell, in 1984, it's like it's this dystopia where they call everything the opposite of what it is.
The doublespeak, yeah.
I think about that all the time. In the book, it's like the military is the ministry of peace.
Yep.
And I think about like whenever I hear people refer to like our justice system, I'm like, what justice are you talking about? Like, I live in my community. And I swear we're going to talk to our HOA about this. My like gated community is called the Colony. And people get married on plantations. Like nobody's getting married in Auschwitz. Like
it's so fucking weird. I know. Yeah, this is weird. I thought Department of Defense is another doublespeak one. That's I got defending what? Like what's going on here? And Noam Chomsky brought up one about the peace process. And what the international peace process is whatever the United States wants in foreign relations. Yeah. Anything that's outside of that is against the peace process. Like it's real obvious shit, And I was God, that's so fucked up what they call it. But I was in the Army. They have these programs called BOSS, Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers. And it's a good program. Is that because like the married soldiers get all of this cool shit. They do with their families all the time, but they started the BOSS program for the single guys. And so they would like take you to amusement parks and stuff like that, at different states. It was pretty fun. And then there's one time they said, okay, if you're a single soldier, sign up for this BOSS event and we'll go to this resort on Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. And they showed pictures, really nice. So got there and I had like this giant suite all to myself. I was like, man, it was on the beach. And the name of the resort was Kingsford Plantation. Kingsford Plantation. I was like, okay, look, I get that this was probably a plantation in 1855, but you don't got to keep calling it that, folks. We can move on from these names. It's so fucked up how we hold on to like, and I try not to be like the annoying lefty that's like, whoa, that word meant this 400 years ago. So, okay, like I'm not going to like or we need to change manhole cover to person hole. Cause like, I'm not going to be that guy about shit, but look, I think plantation is a pretty good line in the sand that we should just let that word go. That's just my one man's opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that the language frames our reality.
Yes.
And so words matter. I mean, I'm with you on person hole, but we don't need person hole. But if you're just walking around or like all the time, we love to watch like real estate shows or renovations, buying houses, etc. And every time I hear like, oh, this rustic old colonial like design.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that one. Oh no.
We need to, it's like when you do that, like you normalize colonialism. Like,
yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it's just the colonial army. It's like, do you ever think about what that means? Like it's so normalized that people don't think about what that means. And plantation's another one. I mean, we should agree on these things.
We should drop that one, folks. That the first one to go is plantation. Okay, look, we didn't ask you to take Aunt Jemima off any box. No one asked for that shit. Get rid of plantation. That's what we would actually like. You know, one that I learned earlier last year. I was reading about Tarzan, and so Tarzan means white skin. Like that's what the word means. I forget which language. Maybe it was Swahili or something like that. Like, okay, all right. I mean, can't argue with that. Tarzan was the white guy in the book. However, the word gorilla is a Greek word for like African woman. Like that's what gorilla means. And I know, right? It's like the more you learn about language, it's just so fucked up. It's just like, oh God. And I stumbled across this on accident because, well, I mean, gorillas are fucking cool. They're fascinating, right? And so I was looking something up because I was talking about cryptids to somebody, and gorillas were cryptids for a while, for Europeans at least, because when Europeans got to the Congo.
I don't know what that word was. Cryptid?
Cryptids?
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Yeah, cryptids are like cryptozoology, like animals that may or may not be real, probably not, like Bigfoot. You know, animals that like the Native American firebird, like a pterodactyl.
Oh, I love that. Like reindeer. People are confused about whether or not reindeer are real.
Reindeer? What?
Like people are confused about whether or not reindeer are mythical creatures.
Really?
Or if they're real. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Where were we? We were somewhere recently where they served us like reindeer, like sausage or something. And there was somebody in our party who was like, I thought those were just from the Santa.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, it's weird. Yeah, like Loch Ness Monster, Sasquatch, stuff like that. Yeah. So
I love that. I learn something new every day if you're not careful.
Yeah, when European explorers got to the Congo, they were talking, to the indigenous population there, and they mentioned, there are these giant apes that live out in the jungle, that are like 500 pounds with silver backs. Like, get the fuck out of here! Like, no, they didn't believe them. They thought they were making it up. And then it wasn't until like 1905 that Europeans found out gorillas were real. Like, it's incredibly recent. Like when they found this shit out. But I was checking up on the story, and that's when I ran across the Tarzan thing. It's like, oh man, I wish I hadn't have read that. It kind of depressed me even more. It just made me maybe even sadder. But no, the crypto stuff is fun because I have a lot of friends that are into like stuff like that. I have like 3 levels when it comes to cryptids. Level 1 cryptid is a cryptid that may be real, but I don't think it's real. Like Bigfoot, for example. Like I don't think there's any chance that, there's no native primate species in North America. And the fact that there's a giant one out there that no one's found, it has a population to sustain itself. Yeah, no, not happening. But
Cain? Like did God, when Cain killed Abel and then lied to God about it, he got cursed to walk the earth forever, and he's Bigfoot now.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Is that Mormon mythology? I don't know.
Well, I thought I don't know. I thought Mormonism taught that black people were the descendants of Cain, and that was the curse.
I don't know if that's more Mormon specific or if that is an idea, a racist idea that came out of the 1500s or so when they were trying to figure out how do we justify slavery. But I'm not sure that was no, Mormons are the black people were the fence sitters. They didn't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're talking about that's right. Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. A lot.
But I actually had yes. In college, I took a physical anthropology class, and my professor was like the leading expert on Bigfoot research. And we were like, "Oh my God, is Bigfoot real?" He was like, "No."
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, it's like then people have like TV shows. I was like, no, listen, people, like we would have found a body, we'd have found some scat, we'd have found like anything to prove it's like, no, it's not there. So yeah, but there's nothing about Bigfoot that's like supernatural. Like it could be real, Yeah. And then the second level is like ones that are like too weird to even exist, like chupacabras. Like that's not that doesn't fit anywhere in like the taxonomical tree. You have this weird like lizard mammal thing. No, and then the third one is just absolutely not true at all, like skinwalkers, like a creature that can transform itself. No, get the hell out of here. But those are like my 3 levels of cryptids or whatever. But I guess gorillas would have been at the top level because they ended up being real. But I ran off track. I was talking about with Holes, because you mentioned Holes. Like one of the best lines that I've ever read was from Holes. And it was when he first gets to the child prison camp, the plantation, and he gets there. and he digs his first hole. Like he has the shovel and he measures it 5 feet by 5 feet. Takes him all day, back-breaking labor, and he's sweat and he's drenched, and he gets up, and the guy next to him is like, hey man, great work. The first hole is the hardest. And then the next day he goes out there, digs the same hole, steps up, and the guy says, good work, man. Second hole is the hardest. I love that. I use that all the time. And I use that with people who get into content creation. You have like younger, but wrong word, but newer content creators. I don't know how old they are, but a lot of them are sadly a lot younger, which is kind of sad. Like when I ask to do these lives during the week, sometimes people get with me, or on TikTok I do the lives, and like, oh yeah, I wish I could, but I got midterms to study for and finals. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, like it's kind of depressing, but. Whenever newer ones come up, and I use that on them. It's like, that's my first video. It's like, good job. First video is the hardest. I can't wait for the second one. Like, second video is the hardest. But that's what do we got?
I love it.
Black people. There's one list of genealogical X begat by the Old Testament, some racer. So what you're probably referring to, Steph, is the curse of Ham. That's probably my guess. In that, so we'll wrap up here in a few minutes. I went a little longer, but sorry to keep you, Rachel. But
this is a good time.
After the flood, Noah has 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Mm-hmm.
And Shem is the father of like Semitic people, like people in the Middle East. And Japheth is the father of European people. And Ham is the father of African people. No mention on who's the father of people in the Western Hemisphere. It's almost like they didn't know it was there. Very strange. But Ham's son Canaan. So Noah gets drunk after he gets off the flood.
Oh God!
Off the boat. Yeah, Noah gets drunk, and then he passes out naked in a room somewhere. So his youngest son Ham walks in and sees Noah naked, and then he goes to his brothers and starts talking shit about him. He's like, yeah, the old man's passed out drunk and naked. So Shem and Japheth walk in backwards holding a blanket. And they, cover up their father. And so Noah wakes up and somehow he finds out that Ham saw him naked, was talking shit about him. And he goes, and what's placed upon him what is called the curse of Ham. And the curse is that Ham's son Canaan will now be a servant of servants, and his descendants will be servants. And a lot of weird things about that story. First, why did Canaan get cursed? Canaan Canaan was minding his own business somewhere, and Ham honestly didn't do anything wrong either. Like, you were the one that got drunk and passed out naked, Noah. Why are you mad at your son for talking shit to you? And the Bible uses that story to justify why the Canaanites, who the Hebrews, the children of Israel, came and conquered and massacred to, according to the Bible, it didn't really happen in real life, but to conquer those people and everything. That's like, oh, well, they weren't real people. They were descendants of Canaan. But Europeans use the curse of Ham to say, Canaan is Ham's son, and Ham is the father of African people. That's how we can justify enslaving these folks, because God said we could do it, thousands of years ago. So yeah, for those who weren't familiar with that, but yeah, that's a pretty wild story.
It's so fascinating how contrived racism was.
My God, burning so many calories to get there.
Exactly. And at the time, so many people just assume, well, people look different, so I just assumed that they were animals, and so it was all just a big misunderstanding. And no, they were like, okay, how, yes, the universities are all in Africa, but how do we make it work? And then they take a couple stabs at it, and here we are. I mean, 500 years later.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's in Zimbabwe, and it's like this ancient stone city.
Great Zimbabwe on my bucket list.
Great Zimbabwe, is that what it's called?
Yeah, if we're thinking of the same thing. But yeah.
Almost certainly. Almost certainly.
Castles and a whole medieval city, right?
Yeah, it's it's up to par with medieval Europe, and it's like Stone Age. It's way back in the day. And so European explorers got there. They said, there's no fucking way this was built by African people. Like they said, I don't know who built this, but like it was a long time before they even accepted the fact that, oh yeah, black people weren't just animals wearing clothes. You know, it's like they would not accept it. And there's no reason that they had to accept. They were been conditioned, you know, their whole lives and for generations to think, okay, well, you know, clearly it's kind of like where people, they'll see ancient stuff and it's super advanced and it's like, well, it must be aliens. Like there's no way, there's no way humans could have died. I know it's the same thing, but
no way brown people did.
Yeah.